We're focusing on an ICT company which in many respects is a model as to how to make the most out of a recession, and we're talking about Altech and focusing on their business model, on their strategy, what possible risks there could be for this company. And joining me to unpack all of this is Ron Klipin from SA Stockbokers. Thanks so much for joining us, Ron, this morning. Altech spending around R1 billion during the recession period on investments, really putting itself in a good position right now.
Yes, it's all about the Africa expansion, as we were discussing prior to going on TV. The opportunities are there. You look at the Naspeces of this world, the ShopRites of this world. You look at Africa in terms of the massive growth potential in resources and away from resources, major demand for broadband, and Altech certainly first on that with their Kenya data operation. They're in about 6 countries at the moment, from Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda. I think they're going into DRC and the like. They've laid about 6,500 kilometers of fiber optic cable to bring broadband to these countries, which are showing good economic growth. They've also got about a 12% stake in CCOM, which is the relatively new cable coming around the east coast of Africa. That's also starting to bring in annuity income. And they look to be set in terms of further expansion into the rest of Africa once they've bedded this down. I don't think they're going to stop where they are now, but you do need to bed down an operation first before you go on a further expansion scheme.
So do you see them going into other regions in Africa, sort of more Central or Western Africa over the next 10 years, or do you see them staying in East Africa?
I think there's still potential in East Africa, and bed that down and then look to expand in other areas. The benefit for Altech is they're first on the block. Not to say that others are not going to follow. The operating margins are very, very strong, in the order of about 45% I think. That will obviously bring in competitors in the course of time.
In terms of percentages as to how much that East African business contributes to the company, what are they currently contributing now, and over the next 5 years, what are we going to see?
This is really a success story. They started their operation 2 years ago. They're currently contributing 20% to the bottom line of Altech. They grew their percentage 31%. Obviously, the other entities of Altech, with the downturn in the economy, didn't do all that well. I would suspect that they would be looking to grow this to probably about 35%. There probably is the potential, possibly even more.
In terms of how much they have remaining to expand, we've heard Craig Venter talking about Brazil possibly, but how much cash in the bank have they actually got?
This is really a success story again in terms of cash generation. They generated cash of about 1.2 billion. There was capex of over $1 billion, and I think they increased their cash holdings on the bottom line after that. Despite flat headline earnings per share, we did see an increase in dividends per share. So very, very cash generative, and a lot of potential to carry on with expansion in the rest of Africa.
And when we talk about Africa, there's always huge talk about political risk. What is the biggest risk facing Altech?
The biggest risk I would see is that of competitors coming in to places like East Africa, also going into broadband. It's going to take them a long catch-up sort of period. So Altech are likely to hold those type of margins for some time to come. Political risk, there always is a political risk in Africa. It's a risk versus a reward scenario. But as we all know, Africa is certainly becoming the flavor as an investment destination.
And of course, you prefer Altech far more to parent company Ultron.
Absolutely. Altron is very broadly based. It's more of a proxy of the overall economy. If you have a look at the good days where you had lots going in building and construction and big investment by Eskom in power lines and the like, Partech did well. When you see a downturn in the economy, they really came off the rails very, very badly. If you have a look at Altech's contribution to parent company Altron, in the good old days, it's it's risen, sorry, from 40 to 55%, principally because of the downturn in contribution from Altech and from Beukes. I like the focus in terms of telecoms. I like the niche market in Altech, whereas Altron will have its day, but I don't think for the next year or two. I think it will underperform Altech.
Thanks very much, Ron Klipin. And there you have it, another tech stock this morning, a solid tech stock to focus on this morning. Back